If you pulled a carrot out of your garden last October and it tasted almost sugary, sweeter than anything you grew all summer, you weren't imagining it. And if your fall harvest has always tasted flat, bland, kind of like cardboard, there's a reason for that too, and it's not your soil. Here's the fast version. Plants aren't just sitting there waiting to die when the temperature drops. The second frost starts creeping in, certain vegetables trigger a survival response. They start converting the starch stored in their roots and leaves into sugar. Sugar acts almost like antifreeze inside plant cells. It lowers the freezing point and keeps the cell walls from rupturing when ice starts to form. That conversion process is the exact reason a frost-kissed carrot or a post-frost kale leaf tastes noticeably sweeter than the same vegetable pulled in July. The plant is quite literally protecting itself, and the byproduct of that survival mechanism is the best flavor you'll get out of it all year. But here's the part almost nobody explains properly. This trick only works if you plant the right vegetables at the right time so that they're mature and ready right when that first cold snap hits. Too early, and you miss the window. Too late, and the plant never fully develops before the ground freezes solid. So today I'm walking you through the 5 vegetables that respond the most dramatically to this sugar conversion, exactly when to get them into the ground depending on where you live, and the small timing mistake that ruins this trick for most home gardeners. Stick around for the 5th one, because it's the one almost nobody plants in fall, and it might end up being the best thing you grow this year. Let's start with number 1. Carrots. Carrots are basically the poster child for this whole phenomenon. When soil temperatures drop into that cool fall range, carrots pump extra sugar into their roots as a defense mechanism, and the result is a carrot that tastes almost candy sweet compared to a summer-grown one. For the best flavor, you want to get carrot seeds into loose, well-draining soil roughly 10 to 12 weeks before your average first frost date. Carrots are slow starters, so don't rush the harvest. Once the tops look mature, leave them in the ground even after a light frost hits, because that's exactly when the sugar conversion kicks into high gear. Some growers leave carrots in the ground under a layer of mulch and harvest them well into winter, pulling out roots that taste better every single time the temperature drops. If you want maximum sweetness, go for a variety bred for storage and cold tolerance, rather than an early summer type, because those cold hardy varieties are specifically built to handle this process. Number 2. Kale. Kale might be the single best example of frost transforming a vegetable's flavor. Before a frost, raw kale can taste bitter, tough, almost medicinal. After a hard frost, that same plant develops a noticeably sweeter, milder flavor because of that same starch to sugar conversion happening in the leaves. Kale is also one of the most cold-tolerant vegetables you can grow, which means you have a lot of flexibility. Plant kale about 6 to 8 weeks before your first expected frost, so the plants have time to establish strong leaves. Once frost hits, don't panic and rush to harvest everything at once. Kale actually gets better with repeated light frosts, so many gardeners harvest a little at a time throughout fall and even into winter, letting each cold snap sweeten the next round of leaves. Number 3. Spinach. Spinach is one of the fastest growing vegetables on this entire list, which makes it perfect for a fall planting even if you're getting a slightly late start. Spinach thrives in cool weather and actually struggles in summer heat, bolting and turning bitter almost instantly once temperatures rise. Flip that into fall conditions and everything changes. Cooler nights combined with that frost-triggered sugar production give you spinach leaves that are tender, mild, and noticeably sweeter than anything you'd get from a spring planting. Get spinach seeds into the ground about 6 weeks before your first frost date. It germinates quickly, and because it matures so fast, you can often get more than one round planted through the fall season. A light frost won't hurt mature spinach at all. It just makes the next harvest taste better. Number 4. Beets. Beets work almost identically to carrots because they're also a root vegetable storing sugars underground as part of that same cold weather survival strategy. A beet pulled after a few frosty nights has a completely different flavor profile than a summer beet. Deeper, sweeter, less of that earthy sharpness some people find overwhelming. Plant beet seeds around 8 to 10 weeks before your first frost, since they need a bit more time than spinach but less than carrots. Thin your seedlings early so the roots have room to bulk up properly. And once frost arrives, treat it as a flavor upgrade rather than a threat. Beets can handle a good amount of cold, and leaving them in the ground a little longer after that first frost is one of the simplest ways to dramatically improve their taste with zero extra effort. And now, number 5, the one most people completely overlook: Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts have a reputation problem, and it's almost entirely because most people have only ever eaten sprouts that were harvested before a hard frost, when they're genuinely bitter and unpleasant. But a Brussels sprout that's gone through a real frost is a completely different vegetable. The sugar conversion process in Brussels sprouts is so pronounced that it's honestly the difference between a vegetable people say they hate and one they can't stop eating. Because Brussels sprouts take a long time to mature, you actually want to get them started early, around 12 to 14 weeks before your first frost date, so the plant has enough time to fully develop before the cold arrives. Once frost hits, resist the urge to harvest immediately. Let the plant sit through at least one, ideally 2 or 3 frosty nights before you start picking sprouts from the bottom of the stalk upward. That waiting period is where all the flavor transformation actually happens. So to recap quickly, carrots, kale, spinach, beets, and Brussels sprouts all use the exact same biological trick, converting starch into sugar to survive the cold. And that trick is exactly why fall-harvested vegetables from this list can taste dramatically better than anything you grew in the heat of summer. The key mistake to avoid is harvesting too early out of nervousness the moment frost is forecast. In almost every case on this list, waiting through that first frost, sometimes even a second or third one, is what actually unlocks the flavor you're after. If this changed how you're thinking about your fall garden, hit subscribe, because next I'm covering the exact mistakes that are quietly killing most fall gardens before they even get the chance to sweeten up. And trust me, at least one of them is something you're probably doing right now without realizing it.